This is a Glendale Library Arts and Culture program created for and featuring teens, edited and hosted by the Teen Library staff.
Hi everyone, this is Melissa
and Desiree.
Welcome to our guest episode of G.E.N Talks.
Today's guest has been playing the violin since he was 4 years old. He has performed with musicians such as John Williams, who composed music for Harry Potter and Star Wars, as well as Randy Newman, who composed for all of the Toy Stories and Monster Inc.'s. Not only that, but he also funded the Sunset String Quartet, along with having his own private studio where he teaches kids to play violin, all while also having a job at the library. So let's welcome our guest today, Alex Rigaldo.
Thank you, Alex, for coming on the G.E.N Talks and taking the time out of your day to talk with us. We have a lot to discuss.
I can't wait.
So let's get right into it. You have been playing the violin since you were 4 years old, so practically your whole life. Did you grow up in a musical household? Is that why you started playing violin?
My parents did not play an instrument growing up like I did. My dad played guitar, but that wasn't his focus. But my parents both had music on in the house all the time, and they encouraged me from a young age. So you could say I'm a first generation musician in the family. My sister also sings, so in a way it was kind of a musical household, but my parents were not musicians.
What songs did your parents play in the household? And
it was mostly a lot of classical. My dad loves classical. But my mom played more popular stuff, like James Taylor and other things, stuff like that. So, but mostly classical. So that's how I kind of got really into classical.
Then, so violin, how was that introduced to you? Was that who specifically introduced violin to you?
I have the earliest memory I have, and what I think was that my parents, I don't know what the idea was. I think they wanted me to play an instrument, because they weren't either allowed to or they didn't have the opportunity to. So I guess they went to a local violin group class kind of a thing, and I sat in on it, and I really wanted to play it. I think I was like 3 or 4 years old, and I wouldn't stop begging for it. So that's how that started. I don't remember being introduced to any other instruments other than the violin. So it's always been the violin.
If you had the opportunity, would you play another instrument too, like with violin and?
Yeah, definitely. My wife got me a guitar for Christmas, and I really wanted to play guitar a little bit more. Also, just piano and voice are just so useful, just to be able to, because you can, that's how you become like a singer-songwriter kind of a thing. You can do so much with that. And so I wish I had learned those as well, voice and piano. Also, just, growing up, I had weird urges to play the bassoon. That looks, based off their looks, because it's a funny looking instrument kind of, so stuff like that. But only seriously piano and guitar and voice.
Do you remember the first song that you learned to play on the violin?
Oh yeah, it was Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Yeah. The most common books that kids learn are the Suzuki collection books, and it all starts with Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Yeah, so that's a lot of first. That's almost everybody's first song, I would say.
Actually, now that you mention it, when I was learning to play piano, that was the first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's good to learn something really recognizable and that you would encounter often as a kid.
So in middle school and high school, were you part of your school's orchestra, or? In
middle school I was, and then I ended up going to LA County High School for the Arts, so that was required. You had to be in orchestras. So it was orchestra every afternoon. So that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of orchestra. Yeah.
You mentioned you went to like an art school for high school. How did you decide to do an art school and like that process? Did you have to audition?
Yeah, you had to audition. I didn't know about it. This is until 3 weeks before the audition, and it was like technically way too late to even audition. But my sister's voice teacher knew the head of the music department, so I was able to get an audition. But I didn't know the song. I didn't know the piece I was supposed to play. So I practiced like crazy for 3 weeks, and I guess it turned out okay. So yeah, I decided to do that because I just wanted more to be surrounded by music more, you know. So that was the main reason.
Did you ever think of playing at a public school?
I mean, I would have done that, but and the district I had a good orchestra too for the high school. Um, but I just wanted to see what it would be like to have more.
You wanted more experience, well, yeah,
Yeah.
to like expand your experience and
Yeah.
like just
Something more intense. So going there made a lot of sense in that way too,
Right.
because it was really kind of misunderstood in a way in the public school setting I had.
and I know it takes like a lot of like skills to like do violin and stuff like that. What are like some skills that you've learned that have helped you just get better at violin or just
That's actually a really good question. I mean, actually, working at the library has helped a lot.
Oh, really?
Really?
And I've only basically done one thing my whole life, music, and I got kind of used to doing that, and I kind of maybe forgot the processes it takes to get good at it. But learning something new and being in that environment, and having to learn things really quickly, helped my playing a lot actually. Even when I started a couple of years ago, when I finished school. So just being really detailed, being able to think from big to small is super important. And yeah, not getting caught up in, I say detailed, but not getting caught up in them too much either. You have to balance it out. So, and that took a lot of experience to figure that out. And you just have to have a really well-rounded, play everything, scales, etudes, and pieces. You cannot leave any one of those things out.
And then in your bio, you mentioned too that you have performed with like John Williams and Randy Newman.
Yeah.
How did that opportunity arise?
After school, I was in this pre-professional orchestra called YMF in LA, and I think John Williams was on the board or something like that for that, or he was connected in some way. So we got the opportunity to play his music at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion during my contract there, and that was super fun. Like Harry Potter, E.T., Star Wars.
You mentioned how you were like injured. How did you keep like being positive and like wanting to pursue music? Because I feel like sometimes if you get injured, you're like, oh my God, will I ever play again? Or like that kind of worry.
Yeah, that definitely was a constant thought in my head for a number of years actually, and it was not fun. But I thought, and at that age I had to think like, do I really want to keep doing this, or should I just, do something else? And I just thought ahead, and I knew I wouldn't forget myself if I didn't, try and get better.
What are your least and favorite aspects about being a musician?
I think the least favorite thing is that it's just not understood very well or appreciated so much. It's not really part of education growing up, and I think that's kind of why it's a little bit frustrating. But I think the thing I like about it the most is just the ability to play the music, and also being able to use the skills that I've learned with that and apply it to other things too. It definitely does carry over. So.
Right. So what's that misconception about being a violinist?
I think that we just practice all day and that we're so dorky and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. or that we're full of ourselves, which is kind of true, but and you know, that's definitely has some. That definitely is part of it. That it definitely is true a little bit, but I play lots of different genres. I've been on other recordings.
Who is your musical inspiration?
Let's see. One of the ones that's been a constant is Hilary Hahn, who is a super famous violinist. She's been my favorite violinist from a young age, and it's always I learned just by watching her, which I can't really do with other violinists as much, you know. So I learned a lot from her just by watching her. But also, I don't know, even pop musicians too, like Ariana Grande's, you know, her talent, her abilities, and seeing that kind of, she is so good, you know, and that's really inspiring too.
Who are your, like, let's say top 3 like musicians that you would want to collaborate with, besides the one that you just said?
Besides Ariana Grande?
Yes.
I'd actually really want to play metal violin with the band Baby Metal. High metal band from Japan.
Oh, cool.
Let's see. It'd also be fun to collaborate with Post Malone too, or Jack Black, Tenacious D. You know.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah. I'm not sure how a violin would fit into Post Malone's stuff.
So besides working with amazing composers and instructors, you have also gotten the chance to tour China. What was that experience like?
That was a lot of fun, but it was also really hard. It was my first time in China or in any part of Asia, and I didn't know any Chinese. I just know how to say hello. And that's really hard. I don't know if you guys have been to China or Asia at all, right? No?
No.
Yeah. I asked if I needed to learn Chinese at all before I went, and they were like, "Oh no, you don't really need to learn it. You'll be okay." And like it would have really helped to learn like a few phrases really well, you know, because you have to learn how to pronounce it too. It was hard to eat sometimes, but the food was amazing as well when it was successful. When I was successful in finding something a restaurant I could communicate with in some way. And the concerts were really fun. We played movie music. And like every audience that we played for just loved it.
Random. Like, did you try anything from McDonald's?
Oh yeah. I didn't try like the taro pie. Other things like I didn't really try any of like the stuff that you could get normally in China. I just got Big Macs.
Like, I think I asked you before, but like, do they have rice there?
I think they do.
What was your favorite part about touring, and least favorite part?
The favorite part was, I think, making new friends in the orchestra and seeing all these really cool places I'd never heard of, but have like 30 million people in them. These cities, like mega cities, basically. It was incredible. The worst part was the traveling, because we were traveling like, you know, almost every 2 days. We were rarely in a place for more than 2 or 3 days. Sometimes just one night, and that got really tedious. You know, planes, trains, buses, the constant moving was difficult. So it was frustrating and tedious, but definitely really worth it. It was a lot of fun.
You said that you guys were like constantly moving, but were you able to explore a little bit?
Let's see, the panda, not zoo, but the panda preservation in Chengdu.
Oh my God, you saw pandas!
Yeah, that was the first thing that we did actually. We got off the plane like from the U.S. to Beijing and then to Chengdu all on the same day, and then went to go see the pandas after that. So we were like, I slept a little on the plane, but I was you know, I wanted to see the pandas. So
Yeah.
we almost got stuck on top of a mountain. You know, we didn't know how to get down. We were at these caves, with one of them had like the largest waterfall. I forgot what it was called, like the largest cave waterfall in China. But we didn't know how to get down, and the last bus was going down, and we relied on the help of the people there to help us get home, because it took about 3 hours to get home.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that was very scary, but also just really met some really nice people too.
Mhm.
What was like a favorite gig that you guys played that you like could remember that you're like, oh wow, like this wedding was like really cool to play at, or like any other?
I don't know, I'm trying to remember like a really interesting one. It's actually more notable how wrong weddings can go sometimes than
Oh my God.
how well they can go. Like everything from the venue to the organizers to the actual people getting married, decorations. They've also hired us plus there's like normally a DJ
Mm.
also at these things that plays at the reception after. We
Mhm.
just play during the ceremony and stuff. But like this one gig, the DJ was playing during like when we were supposed to be playing, and so we just stopped. We're just like, okay, fine. If you don't, if you,
It was like a competition between.
yeah, when we were supposed to be
played it?
playing,
Yeah.
he was doing his thing. You're just like, okay, whatever. We're just gonna wait. We definitely saw a lot of nice weddings as well, and it was fun to be a part of the ones that went really well and help them be that much better. I think actually being at our friend's wedding, we played for our friend when she got married,
Mhm.
Malibu, and so that was the most special one for me, I think.
Did you guys have like a set list for like each, like was the set list different for each wedding, or was it like the same for?
Yeah, it changed every time, which was so difficult. We had to arrange everything and put it in order so that we can all flip to it really quickly.
And then going back to teaching, what is a teaching strategy that you've learned throughout your years of teaching that you do?
I think the biggest thing is just trying to learn about the students as much as I can, and just kind of give it a month or two to really start to try and make progress, because everyone learns differently. Everyone's different. I found that if I can kind of make a connection with the student, they do help and stuff, but more importantly, you have to know what's going to work before you do it. So, and that takes knowing the student. So that takes some time.
So what's your favorite part about teaching kids and least favorite part?
When I can see them improve and benefit from that, like accomplishing something, challenges. Yeah, I've taught some really students with that took a lot of work, but they ended up doing really well, and that's probably the most rewarding thing. Yeah.
And then what's a piece of advice that you would give somebody that wants to teach kids, or just teach an instrument in general? Yeah.
I think, first of all, get as good as you can on it. Don't try and change somebody. Just them and help them just to kind of organically get better that way. Yeah, just being very receptive to who they are and stuff like that.
Before we end, we have some rapid fire questions to ask. The first question is, what is your favorite color?
Green.
Okay, second question. What is some advice for a teen who wants to become a musician or violinist?
Practice every day and understand music culture of today, and always just create. Definitely create a lot, as much as you can, and put it out there as soon as you can. SoundCloud, whatever, just put it out there. Yeah.
Have you composed or written any music?
Yeah, I just started doing that more recently during COVID. Yeah, so but I haven't really written anything. I'm just kind of just like writing down stuff in variations and.
What is something that you have been proud to say that you have accomplished?
I think just being confident with my technique, because that took a lot of time for myself to be to give myself that kind of like to give myself that recognition. That took a long time.
What is some advice you wish that you would have known when you were younger?
Well, I was told to practice every day. I just didn't really do it that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think not to be closed-minded, because for a while I listened to only classical music, and that was when I started listening to other stuff, like middle school and high school. I realized what I've been missing out on, So probably could have been a more versatile musician even now, if I had just simply branched out a little bit more earlier.
What is a show that you are currently watching?
We're watching Breaking Bad again. Also Indian matchmaking though. We always have like a lighthearted or dating or whatever kind of show. And Rick and Morty too. Yeah.
What is an artist that you have been currently listening to a lot?
I haven't really been listening to too much recently, actually. The most recent artist I listened to a ton was that band I mentioned, Baby Metal. Yeah. And
then last question, what is a book that you have read recently or are currently reading that you would recommend?
I finished most recently The Crossing by Cormac McCarthy. It's part of the Border trilogy. I'd recommend all of his books, but they're not for the faint of heart, for sure. They're they're violent and dark but really well written. I would recommend the book Sapiens though, which I'm also reading right now. It's taking me a long time to get through it, but that's a really interesting book.
Mm-hmm. So thank you so much, Alex. We learned a lot about you. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to sit down and talk with us. Can you let everyone know at home any upcoming projects and where they can connect with you?
I unfortunately don't have anything, but now you put that idea in my mind, I'll let you know, and then let everybody else know.
I'll put a link down below.
Okay. Well, my wife has a TikTok and Instagram page for our guinea pigs, so that's kind of like our little project. Yeah.
Oh,
Carrie babies.
Okay. We'll put the link. Yeah, we'll add it on the screen. All right, that's cute though. Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you.
Good to see you guys.
Thank you for watching Teen Gen Talks. If you would like to contact us or be a part of Teen Gen Talks, please email us at teengentalks@glendaleca.gov.
Make sure to subscribe to the Glendale Library Arts and Culture channel as well as their socials.
And also remember to tune in every Friday at 4:30 p.m. for the next chapter in the interview. Bye.
Bye.